Hey, World Entertainment. Is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, returning to the Scorpion King? Because that is the new rumor doing the rounds, particularly after what the Smashing Machine has done at the box office, which is nothing. It's flopped massively. It made, 6 million in its opening weekend? And you'd think an A24 movie, that's not too bad, except the reported budget for the thing is something like 50 million. So, yeah, not great. But there's a rumor now that he's going to return to play the Scorpion King. How? Don't know. But we're going to have a look at the article that talks about it. Now, the rumor, yeah, you've probably already guessed, it's come from My Time to Shine. But been a while actually since I've seen a rumor coming from him. But let's take a look at this, because Scorpion King, I'll be honest with you, I like the Scorpion King. The first movie, anyway. There's like 20 bleeding sequels that The Rock isn't involved in, and they are horrendous. But let's have a look at this anyway. So, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had barely been in WWE for half a decade when he started trying to break into Hollywood. That began with a cameo role in 2001's The Mummy Returns as Morpheus, I think is how you pronounce it. The character struck a chord with moviegoers, and The Scorpion King followed in 2002. While the movie was by no means a critical hit, the spin-off was a moderate financial success, making just shy of 179 million at the worldwide box office on a reported budget of 60 million. That's actually quite bad. I didn't realize it made so little. Mind you, it didn't cost a hell of a lot, but when you take into marketing and stuff, probably just about broke even. But anyway, there were plans for Johnson to return in a sequel, but the movie was shelved until the direct-to-video prequel, The Scorpion King 2: Rise of a Warrior, was released in 2008, starring Michael Copon as Mateus. Yeah, Copon, alright. That's funny, isn't it? That it's called Rise of the Warrior. It came out in 2008 and it was a prequel to The Scorpion King, even though The Scorpion King was in fact a prequel to The Mummy, which, work it out. And that was meant to be his rise to be this warrior king, so weird. Victor Webster took over the role in 2012's The Scorpion King 3: Battle for Redemption, and returned for Scorpion King 4: Quest for Power. At this point, you might think we're trolling you, but a fifth direct-to-video installment really did follow in 2018, with Zach McGowan taking center stage in Scorpion King: Book of Souls. How many of these bloody things did they make? And even though they're direct-to-video, it's one of those you're kind of looking going, are these even the official movies? Like the Universal Soldier, where there are 2 Universal Soldier 2s. I don't know. But we first heard of plans for a reboot in 2020. I don't remember hearing that. With Johnson attached as a producer for a contemporary adaptation of the character's story. According to Scooper, My Time to Shine, The Rock is now in talks to return as the Scorpion King, suggesting the Smashing Machine star will once again play the character that helped put him on the map. It would be a fun role for Johnson, who after a series of failures is looking to make his mark as a serious actor with dramatic roles. However, he isn't turning his back on blockbuster fare and will shoot the next Jumanji movie next year. So, last year, The Mummy Returns director Stephen Sommers reflected on casting The Rock as the Scorpion King, saying, "He was great. I had never heard of the guy, but then they sent me some footage of him, and he was just perfect. I had to shoot so fast with him because he flew into Marrakesh on Wednesday, and he had to be in Detroit for a WWE thing on Saturday. But boy, was he a trooper." As soon as the studio saw the dailies, the president of Universal was calling me up and saying, "You got to write a movie for him." Somehow, over the next week or so, I came up with this idea that became the Scorpion King movie. So that's how all that came about. I do think it's funny though that they're saying like he's returning straight away to Scorpion King right after he says he wants to do more dramatic roles, smaller movies, and work with kind of, you know, names that will basically push you for Oscars and that type of crap. Look, by the way, I did see an article and I thought this was funny, saying, oh, the Smash Machine is a massive flop, not earning money. I guess that's Dwayne Johnson's hopes of an Oscar out the window. And I'm like, you clearly don't understand how the Oscars work, because money clearly has nothing to do with it. It's about reception from people, particularly within the industry, that will get you the Oscars, not the financial income. Because if it was down to financials, then Avatar would be the highest bloody earner of every Oscar going, seeing as it's the biggest movie ever. But I just thought that article was funny, the way they were saying that. Oh, it didn't make money, so no Oscar for him. It's like, okay. The return of him. Now, the issue you would have is, how do you work that around his age? Because he was only in his mid-30s, I believe, when he did Scorpion King. Maybe even a bit younger. I'm pretty sure he was in his early to mid-30s. He's now, what, 55? 56? He's somewhere around that age. How exactly do you bring him back then for Scorpion King? And not to mention, like, he looks very different from when he did Scorpion King, because he was very fresh-faced in Scorpion King. He's not so much fresh-faced now, and of course, all the weight he's lost, which is, like, is he going to start packing that back on? Apparently he's losing it to do a role. If that's what he said anyway. So we'll have to wait and see whether he bulks back up or whatnot. But the Scorpion King being a prequel to the Mummy is kind of like that question of, well, how do they work that out then as well? Because we know where his story goes. We saw how he rose up to be the Scorpion King in the Scorpion King movie. We know where he ends up by the Mummy 2. So I'm assuming, obviously, it would have to be a movie in between those, but how close to the Mummy 2 do you end up making it? And again, how do you address how much older he now looks? So I don't understand quite how this will work. It is interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing another Scorpion King. Of course, the first movie did have the late great Michael Clark Duncan, who unfortunately passed away a good few years ago now. When it's like 2013 or something when he passed away, wasn't it? Ironically, he passed away after he turned to veganism. Now, I'm not saying that's what killed him, but it's just interesting that here was this guy who seemed to be as healthy as an ox. You know, he was a massive dude, and as soon as he goes on a vegan, he dies. Just saying. But I'm curious. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's just, how do you do it? What would the story be? And who else do you bring on board? Who directs it, writes it, and all that kind of stuff? I think those are big questions. And of course, if they're moving with this, then all these rumours of a potential Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser coming back would probably have to be true as well, because you're not going to go back to the well with the Scorpion King and leave out Brendan Fraser and the Mummy franchise. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's going to happen? Would you like to see it happen? Did you enjoy the first movie? The original movie, I should say. And did you ever watch any of them dog shit sequels? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe. We're getting quite close to 3,000 subs. So thanks to every single one of you who so far has hit the sub button. And thank you for everyone who's going to hit the sub button. I can see you. I'm looking at you. You're thinking about it. Hit it. Press it. It's free. And you can cancel it at any time if you want to. I'd advise against that. But it's free. Go on, do it. Cheers. And I'll catch you in the next one.